The Treasurer, remember, is giving some hints about tweaks to stage 3 cuts, although today he said they will not be scrapped at all. They are committed to them. So let's bring in here one of Australia's most acknowledged tax experts. That's Professor Robert Deutsch from the Business School of Accounting at the University of New South Wales. Bob, always good to talk to you here on the program. Now, you can hear there Bernie Fraser says, look, the government can allocate this money in better and different ways, should never have signed up to them. They are law. They've been agreed by both sides of Parliament. And so the government is committed to bring them in some way, shape or form. You know, how committed do you imagine governments need to be once it's passed through legislation?
Well, I think it's passed through legislation, but more importantly, Labor made the commitment to carry these out back before the last election. So presumably some people at least voted on that basis. So it's a little bit difficult for them politically to now back away from them. They may tinker with them, but as you mentioned in your intro, the Treasurer has indicated that they will be carrying them through in full, and I think that's probably the right thing for them to do politically. OK, well, let's just go through the changes so people understand what's going on. We're first off going to start with the taxes as they are today. Yep. So we can see the tax scale. So from 0 to 18,200, zero tax. Then from up until 45,000, 19% tax. Then between 45 and 120,000, 32.5% tax. 120 to 180, 37% tax. And $180,000 plus 45%. So that's where we are today, right? That's correct. OK, then explain what happens once we get to 24, 25 and these new stage 3 tax cuts. Right, well, as you can see, there's a bit of a simplification there. We've gone from 5 rungs to 4. Most importantly, there are 3 changes fundamentally. The 32.5% rate has been moved down to 30%. The 37% rate has disappeared entirely. And the 45% rate cuts in at 200,000 instead of 180,000. Now, they're the 3 changes that make up stage 3, and the government could tinker with all or any of those 3 stages. OK, so let's try and get that back up again, because I want to analyse this with people so they can absorb this. The 37% bracket goes. Yes. Now, that was seen to be genuine tax reform. That was seen to be the real reform that people were looking for. So, and actually having a person being able to pay 30 cents in the dollar tax between $45,000 and $200,000 was seen to be a significant bonus for those people who were middle income earners in particular. And that was the big selling point of the previous government when they announced the stage 3 tax cuts. I don't know whether everybody can remember, but Josh Frydenberg in particular was pushing that point of view that somebody on 200,000 would pay 30%, all the way from $45,000 to $200,000. That is a significant simplification, but on the other side of the coin, it is expensive. Yeah, right. So how much would those tax cuts cost? The stage 3 tax cuts will cost approximately $21 billion a year. $21 billion per year. Yeah. So that's a wedge out of the budget, given the fact that the government makes revenues of about, at the moment, $550 billion a year. Yeah. So right? For Australia, that is a big tax cut. So a government that says it's committed to, well, cutting some of its spending, being disciplined, trying to allocate money into childcare and into training and skills, all that type of thing, to try and find some of that money back would be a bonus for them right now. Absolutely, and this would be one way of doing it. Now, there's, as I mentioned earlier, you can tinker with a lot of these things. So, for example, some people have suggested that we retain the 37% rate above 120,000. So from 120,000 to 200,000, you'd pay the old 37% rate. Now, I question that only because that doesn't simplify it, which is what the brilliance of it was. Exactly. I was going to come to that it doesn't actually simplify it, but what it does do, it would save about $9 billion of that $21 billion per year. Right. So it would be a significant saving. You could also not raise the 45% threshold. So instead of raising it to 100,000, leave it back at 180,000. That would save a lot less because obviously the numbers there are more modest, but it would still be a significant saving out of the $21 billion. So there's ways of tinkering with it, but I think that as soon as they start tinkering with it, they're kind of achieving neither thing. They're not carrying through with what they committed to, nor are they scrapping it. I think it'll leave everybody unhappy. OK, so the easiest thing and the argument against it is that high-income earners get most of the benefit, not the middle and low-income earners. Is that a justifiable, answer at this point? Well, I think, look, that's true. I don't think it's very difficult to argue against that. It will still leave the system progressive because it will still mean that the higher your income, the more tax you pay as a percentage, but it will be less progressive than it is now. And the consequence is that for anybody under $45,000, there is effectively no change at all. So if you're under $45,000, none of this stage 3 will save you any money. It's only people above $45,000, and of course the people over $200,000 will save even more. And that's the big argument about it, because it is unfairly in many ways benefiting wealthier people.
All right, Bob Deutsch, always good to get you on the program. We'll do it again very shortly. Many thanks for your explanation today.